Welcome back to another Sims 4 video. Today we're going to be building a multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills mansion. Now this is a huge build that I've been working on the past week and a half or so this is going to be a two-parter because I had almost 8 to 10 hours of footage of just building. So, you know, there's a lot that I cut out, but even with that, you know, it's still pretty long. Also, this is based off of a really cool house listing that I saw because I wanted to utilize the curved wall. So I looked up for like curved wall mansions. So I'll link the inspiration down below so you can check it out. But let's go ahead and get into the actual video. So we are in Del Sol Valley, which I figured made the most sense for a luxurious mansion, Beverly Hills style. So, you know, we're in Del Sol Valley. Now, one thing I pretty much immediately realized with the curves is we can't have a really nice, close curved balcony. You can see here, there's gonna be a lot of messing around with the curves. Like, I mean, they're very cool, but they are very buggy and very limited in what you can do. But I still think I ended up with something that I'm pretty proud of in this build. I mean, like even this, you can see like just me trying to place it around this thing is pretty difficult, but it all works out in the end. You know, it's like I said, it's going to be a long process. So settle in, enjoy the ride. Part 2, I'm hoping will be out tomorrow. The build is already completed, so don't worry about me not finishing it. It's already completed, so hopefully the video will either be out tomorrow or the day after, you know, somewhere soon. But yeah, I'm essentially starting with the initial look and layout of the entrance area. Now, one thing that the original build actually had that I really, really wanted to incorporate was a huge multi-car garage. Now, obviously, in The Sims 4, we don't have drivable cars, but we do have decorative cars when you do the debug cheat. So I was absolutely going to be putting those in. So I essentially designed the whole base, well, I'll say basement level. It'll make a bit more sense later. This is kind of like the basement of the house that we're building. Obviously, it's on ground level. Like I said, it'll make a bit more sense later. I essentially designed this entire level around it being a garage, and that's kind of the idea behind it. And here as well, another classic Sims 4 thing. As you can see, the pathway doesn't actually perfectly line up with the world. Like the grid tile doesn't line up. So we're just gonna have to imagine that it's as close as possible and that it actually does line up when it in reality doesn't. Now, a lot of this stuff as well, initially is me choosing which tiles and wallpapers to go with, because this needs to feel really expensive and really classy. I really wanted big pavers. I couldn't quite get what I wanted, so I went with the Spade tiles. I think those always look pretty classy. Now, here is where I'm like, okay, I should probably build the rest of the house, you know, figure out the shape and how big this place is gonna be. It does end up pretty big. I think the actual house value in game at the end of all of this is around 600,000. So, you know, it's not multi-millions in The Sims, but that's actually pretty hard to achieve unless you're specifically placing like the super expensive items. Like if I put a bunch of violins in, for example, or like the suits of armors as well are pretty expensive. Like it's definitely possible to get, you know, $1 million houses in the game, but usually, unless you're trying to do that, it doesn't happen. Like, I wasn't trying to make this house super expensive, but it kind of just ended up that much because of, you know, how big this whole place is. So here we are, you know, closing the whole place in with walls. For some reason, this wasn't becoming a room, which is just awesome. I love when the game decides things aren't rooms when they should be, but it's okay. We got it worked out in the end. Now, a big part of this build as well is utilizing a lot of the platform tool. So we'll be raising up some of the floors, not on this basement level, on the upper level, because I wanted it to feel a lot more substantial, especially so we're putting a pool in here, which I think in the original house that I based this off is probably facing, you know, out to the beautiful view. But I wanted it at the front of the house because I thought it looked quite cool there. And then I actually, in the end, do a second pool out the back of the house here. So there's, you know, all that's going on and that's fine. And yeah, these curves, you know, I have to place the curve somewhere else to get it to work how I want it to. Doing these balconies is just so rough, but I'm very pleased with the results in the end. Basically, you can have the curved balcony. Now, curved balconies, I guess some people didn't realize they were in the game because when, you know, I did videos on the curved walls, a lot of people were surprised that I wasn't mentioning the curved fences. But that's literally, I think that's base game. Doesn't the Goth house have curved fences? Some of the base game houses definitely do, so that's not new. But yeah, so I essentially was like, okay, we can't have a curved wall and a curved fence really close together, so why don't we just design the house around them being further apart. Yeah, so here's where I'm also using the platforms because, like I said, I want it to feel more substantial. So when we have all these balconies, if you just have like the thin floor tile around the whole balcony, it kind of looks like it's paper thin and it's going to fall over and break. So just clicking up the platform, like I think I did a 3 height on the platform there. That made a big difference and it makes it look a lot better. Now, obviously the pool, unfortunately, you can't actually move pools up with the platform height. So the pool still has to be lowered down. So I use platforms to create like the steps here. This does change a whole lot throughout the build. I don't know how much of it actually appears within, the build video. There's so much in this build that I didn't record because there's just so much. There's also a lot of, cuts and edits here and there. But because there are so many cuts between what's happening, that's why I was hoping, because we're only watching this back at about 2 times speed, so hopefully it's not too fast, and you don't miss anything, or it doesn't get too like you don't get as motion sick as you would if it was a lot faster. So I'm hoping we sort of found a balance with this video. Just because it's so long, it just couldn't really be any faster without cutting out huge portions. Now, because a lot of this build of this house is actually the actual building portion, which I think is really interesting for a house of this size to see how it's all built. I didn't want it to be too fast. Obviously, there's huge amounts of furnishing, but I think there's probably whole rooms that I maybe didn't even record for the video. And part 2 is just about as long as, part 1 that we've got here. So it's pretty big. There's a lot going on. Yeah, so now I'm just figuring out the back. Obviously, this part of the house is the bit that actually faces out to the view. That'll probably be where the main living area is going to be, all that kind of stuff. So we want, the house to look pretty good from all sides. And I think it did. Obviously, it's a big house, so it needs to have, big flat sections of walls, but that doesn't mean it has to look too boring. So I think adding the balconies, the curves, a few different depths of the wall, I think it actually really comes together. I think it works out well. I'm also adding, like here, I'm doing a little cutout there. We've got some huge pillars just made out of walls around the place. And I think it'll actually really work quite well. At this point, this house is already pretty big, but I realized it actually wasn't big enough because, like I said, most of the basement or the ground level is going to be a garage. That meant we didn't actually have that much room left in the house. So I was like, we need to build a whole other section of this house. I don't want it to be multi-story. So what I did was on the second level here, I built a huge extension of the house. And then I'm using the terrain tool, and you see if you raise it up as close as you can, it looks like the second level of the house is planted on the ground. And especially once we use a floor trim, which I'll put in just a moment, using a floor trim makes it look like it is attached to the ground and everything is, it looks like the house is built on the hill, and the basement is cut out of that area there. And I think it actually works out really well. I'm pretty pleased with the final result of how this all came together. But it was just a lot of messing with the terrain, especially so when the terrain meets the lower level, yeah, you get this huge cutout. So I was like, okay, why don't we use this huge column thing from Sparta? It's just an object, so we can place that down, adjust the ground around it. We'll try to do some other landscaping and just do as much as we can to make it look like it blends in. And I think at the end of the day, I totally think it works. I really think it worked. I mean, I guess it is a little weird in one sense because we've got this hill on this lot, which is on a big flat property, but what are you gonna do? There's not much we can do about that. But yeah, I mean, look, from a distance, it definitely blends in with the surrounding landscape. So I think it's no big deal there. Now, a lot of this changes like this. A lot of this is we're just initially, blocking out where I want stuff to go. I'm like, I want a big balcony here. The column will probably go here, but as we build, furnish, do the layout and do the rooms, a lot of the stuff changes as we're going through. So even this balcony around the side there, around the front here, I think I used to have stairs on the side here. I decided there was not really any point to doing that, so I got rid of those. A lot of little changes here and there. I did lower that section there, as you can see, and it was mostly just because it created an interesting element at the front where we have a fence and a lowered section, so it looks a little bit more interesting. Now, the roof is definitely a challenge. Now, we're not having any sort of pitched roof on this house because it is this sort of contemporary mansion style of home. So we kind of need the roof to be interesting somehow. And I basically we do a little bit of half wall stuff here, you can see. And I do a whole bunch of like solar panels. I get in some of the HVAC, roof decoration stuff. There's nothing like too groundbreaking up here. It's pretty simple because at the end of the day, you don't look at the roof that much. I guess the most of the time you're going to be looking at the roof is maybe in the map view when you're loading the house. So, I didn't go too overboard with doing too much stuff up there. I am curious, though, to know how much power we will actually generate from all these solar panels, because there's quite a few. Like, I placed some here at the beginning. I don't do too much initially, and I don't know if we see the rest of them later or what, but I do a lot more later on. That's the initial amount. But I'm like, we got such a big roof, we might as well just, put a bunch of solar panels on it, because that'll reduce the bills. Because I can imagine, I'm not sure what they are, I haven't seen them yet. I can imagine the bills on this house in-game being kind of astronomical. Now, we're finally moving inside, doing the initial furnishment and building in the house. So we're starting off with the huge garage. There was a picture on the actual listing of this house. So again, if you click the link down below, or the article on this house, there was this huge multi-car garage, and there's all these cars parked in there, big sports car in the middle. I'm like, this looks sick. I know it does nothing in The Sims, but I mean, with a mansion, you gotta have a garage for all your sports cars. And I also, as you can see, I spent a lot of time aligning these lights because there's so many of these lights, and I was like, I want them to look good. I'm pretty sure it all changes as I go through anyway. There's so many differences and stuff that changes throughout. Now, the car in the center of this garage was on a circular, floor, I guess, stone section or brick section or whatever. We don't really have anything circular, so I gave up on that idea, and then I just used floor tiles to do it. So here I'm just going through, finding all the cars that might be interesting to have in this garage. There's not a lot of choice, because obviously we don't have cars, we have these decorative ones. There's not a lot of, high-end sports car looking ones. There's a few, but not a lot. They don't look that great when you look at them up close. But from a distance, when you see them in this room, it's pretty cool. So on the front, I don't know how good of a view we got of this, though. I actually used two of the, you can see it there, two of the Spa Day doors to be like a garage door. So this is not the front door. Do not mistake that as the front door if you decide to play in this house, because you'll just end up in the garage. It was supposed to look like a garage door because honestly, using that roller door, garage door item kind of didn't look that great. It looked a little small and not very modern. So I decided, I'll just use the doors because it looks a little bit better than the in-game roller door for it. So at this point, I was trying to get a little bit more fancy with the garage. It is just a big rectangular room, but I was like, maybe we could have little cutouts, little garages within the garage for the cars. And I was like, that seems like a cool idea in theory, but then I couldn't really fit it without it looking bad. And also it took up even more room in the house. So I decided, let's just stop recording. I'll figure it out. We'll come back. Now on this side of the garage, I just did a huge long counter. It's kind of like the idea is it could be a tool bench or something like that. And I actually later on, way down the line, I think probably part 2, put a robotics station in there. Just to do some mechanical stuff and work on stuff. It made sense to me there. So it's just like a little workstation there. You can see the garage. I've arranged the cars just around the side, and that's pretty much it. And then we have that little lobby area for the garage there, the glass in the windows. Now at this point, I was like, okay, we got to figure out the actual entrance to this house. The front door is just here. You can see to the right of where the garage is. And here I'm just, aligning the stairs and how I want them to go. And I was just trying to figure out where these stairs are actually going to go, how it's going to fit in the layout of the house, and how it's going to make sense. And actually, I think I cut out probably 30 to 45 minutes of me trying different locations of the stairs, where, how it's all going to fit in. So I saved you guys a lot of time there because it was rough. So they're just there. We have a big 3-wide hallway main corridor at the entrance of the house here. And then essentially the garage is going to have all windows down the side of it. So, you got to show off to your visitors when they come in. They're going to see all your cars, and they're going to get jealous. They're going to get jealous of all the cars. Just this huge garage. I mean, if you have this much space to dedicate to a garage in a house, that's pretty awesome. Now, I actually spun, you saw that sports car on that, I guess, octagonal platform. I spun it to face toward the hallway just because I figured you know, that's where you're walking and you're going to look at it. So that kind of looked cool. I think in the original house, it's probably facing the exit rather than the house, but whatever. Yeah, so the interior is very, we have a lot of woods and natural tones through the wood. So basically wooden floors, wooden walls, a lot of those. And then other than that, just white concrete or white, you know, plaster walls. And that's pretty much it. So we've got a lot of the natural element coming in, but then also contrasted with the stark white, you know, walls and contemporary stylings that come along with that. Now, yeah, so again, there's a lot of elements that are inspired by the original house. So I think the original stairs looked something like this. And then they had a nice big a tree or a plant underneath the stairs in this section here. I couldn't really find a good one that really looked like kind of the original one. I do put something here eventually, but it just wasn't quite the same, you know. It wasn't quite the same, but yeah, it worked out. Now down here, this front room is going to be our home gym slash spa. And by spa, I mean, it's got a couple of massage tables, so you can come in here. I guess hire a masseuse that'd come here. It's also good. It's right at the front of the house, so you know the masseuse would come in, and they're already there. They don't have to go too far. Now, I have yet to actually play in this house. So later on, once you see, you know, quite how big the scale of this place is, I don't know how playable or practical it's going to be, because if you're in bed and you're like, I've got work in an hour, I don't know how long it's going to take them to walk through the house. That is like one of the huge problems when you're building like a mansion in The Sims, is how long it takes them to get across the house to go do something. So in practice, and I do plan on playing this house, you'll find more out about that in a little bit. Yeah, I do plan on playing in this house and doing some videos and stuff. But until then, I'm not sure how it plays. And you know, when I do play with this house, if we need to make changes and, you know, essentially add shortcuts, we will do that, because I do really like my houses and my builds to be as playable and as usable as possible. Because quite frankly, I do find it a little bit pointless if I'm building this giant house and you can't really use it. Now, having said that, I don't know how, you know, how well this house will play. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be super laggy. Like in my game, it was fine, at least so far in build mode. But you know, on lower end computers, I don't know how laggy it's gonna be. I did not overstuff this house with like loads of items. You know, it is pretty detailed, but it's not like I haven't done clutter in every little nook and cranny. In fact, some of the living areas are pretty expansive and pretty open, just because of the fact that, you know, the house is so big. You know, having a big open space, you know, is a flex in itself. So I tried not to go over the top with shoving stuff in there. So yeah, you know, I'm trying to make this house as playable as possible. Now these curved windows, or not curved window, curved wall, getting the windows to line up, you know, we have those little gaps where you can't have a window over that section. So you can see that's why we have like a single tile window there. And we're sort of adjusting it to all fit in. And I think it works out okay in the end. And I sort of lean into, you know, the gaps in the windows and on those curves. And I think it worked out quite well in the end. I really wish there was a big just glass door that was really simple, just glass, you know, not all this framework on it. Like the doors that I ended up using, those Spa doors, the colors match, but the framing on it is so thick compared to the rest of the windows, so I'm not like super happy with it. But there was no real good door choice I could have made, unfortunately. So, you know, I did the best with what I had, and that's where I went with it. Now, the upstairs layout is quite interesting. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do it. And you know, something I did, which is kind of annoying. I planned out a bunch of like bedrooms and rooms and all that, and I was like, yeah, this is it. And I think I was halfway through furnishing, which we'll get to later. I realized I didn't really plan out a lot of bathrooms. But there are like so many bathrooms that at the end of this build, I made sure that there were bathrooms, but you know, I had all these bedrooms and I'm like, look, realistically in a house of this size and this value, most of the bedrooms probably would have an ensuite bathroom of their own. Just because this house is just so extravagant. So most of the bedrooms, I think, end up with an ensuite. I think there's a few that don't have it, but there's one really close just in the hallway. So I think it worked out in the end. Now here, again, I was trying to figure out, it's like, what do we do with the flooring? You know, I didn't want it all to be wood everywhere in the house. I wanted some parts of it to be wood. So this here is like a tiled room. This is a big living, like a living room. I think, is there a TV in this room? I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think there is. So this is like an entertainment room. There's like a bar in this room, huge dining table, couch and TV, I think. And then it opens up to the pool outside. So yeah, this is sort of the entertainment space. This has the tiled flooring. That in the corner there is going to be a bathroom. So there's a big bathroom there, also close to the outside where the pool is. So, you know, that's the other thing as well. Having multiple bathrooms around the place is good for that problem I mentioned earlier of how long it takes a sim to walk around this place. Having multiple places to do the same thing is also really good. Now, I did play around with the idea of having this big Batuu archway open to the outside because... number one, that still counts as that room being inside, which of course I could just remove the wall, but it means then it's outside and that creates a lot of weird problems with lighting. I think even with weather and temperature, it can be a little bit goofy. So I was like, I didn't want to just remove a wall and have it open. And unfortunately, the big glass sliding doors that we do have in the game, they weren't big enough. Like they looked kind of dinky compared to the rest of the house. So I was like, I can't use those either. In the end, I decided not to just do an open archway because I felt like that was kind of a bit strange. Like there's no way to close it. I know this is all just pretend, but you know, in the end, I decided it was probably better to just do windows and doors and call it a day with that because it didn't quite, you know, it wasn't quite right. It also wasn't the same height as the windows, which really annoyed me. So yeah, here's where I was like, what if I just open it? And I was like, no, I don't like that. And here's where I'm trying those doors. Look how small they are. I'm like, I can't use these. I was like, maybe those windows I could put above it. I'm like, no, it looks ridiculous on a house of this size. Because we have I think the tallest walls up here. But remember, I'm also using the platforms. So that's how we're getting loads of different elevations throughout this whole level, which I actually really like. I like the fact that we have all these different heights on this same level, because it means we have like this step down through the main hallway here. You'll see in a bit, I actually do some like steps that go down the hallway. So we have like at one side of the house is lower, the other side of the house is up higher. And I think it actually is really cool. It was really fun to do. And here I was just trying to work out the layout. There's also this really cool like wine, I guess, I don't want to say cellar, wine rack, I guess, in the original house that I'm basing this off of. There's like this big glass wall. Again, couldn't quite do exactly what I wanted to match it because in the real house, you know, there's no frames around the glass. It is just glass, you know, and then handles. It looks sick. Again, I do implore you to check out the inspiration of this because it was a really cool house. And you'll notice probably a lot of elements coming in from that. But obviously doing my own spin on it because none of this layout matches the original house. You know, nothing really matches because it's The Sims, but we take a lot of nice inspiration from it. And I guess, I don't know if I just cut out that whole wine rack wall, but we will see that at the end of this video. I'll give you a little tour and an explore of what we've done so far. Now, like I said, I've actually completed this build. So when we do a tour in this video, I'll try not to show stuff that we haven't done yet. So just as a heads up, when we get to that part, I'll be doing probably sneaky camera angles. So yeah, this is the entertainment room. You saw we did the bar just over there. Obviously, nice big fireplace. I really wish we had some more, just like, I wish I was like a wall mounted fireplace that like went into the wall. That would have been really cool. Now here I was trying to recreate, I think they had like some sort of shelving set up around the fireplace, or next to it or something like that. So I was trying to do something similar here. I think this turned out okay. I think it looks pretty cool, in the end, and I'm pretty happy with it. And then, oh yeah, this wallpaper, which is like this sort of floral wallpaper, I think in the actual house it's like a marble, like it's shiny marble, but we don't have any walls that are just like marble. Like we have the one from Get Famous that's like a wallpaper that has like a trim top on the bottom, but there's no like white marble. It's really strange. It's got like a black and gold marble texture, or like this weird like pink one, I think, but no, just like white marble that we could put on the wall. You know, we have it for the floors, but not the wall. So I was like, dang it. So that's why I'm using that sort of like floral wallpaper, which I think looks good. You can pretend it's something classy. Now, something else I ran into while building this house is regular items look small. This couch, it's a 4-tile long couch that I made with like the modular couch stuff, but it looks tiny. And the coffee table, I was like, this looks so small. It doesn't work. But you know, in the end, I think it was pretty good. You know, this room is like the white room. Like everything is white and really almost bland in a sense, because this is like this is the entertainment room. The floor is tiles. The table is big and long. We got this huge TV. It's just supposed to be really like, I guess. I also got some Batu stuff in there. I was gonna say, it's supposed to be really quite opulent, and then I'm putting like little Star Wars figurines in the shelf. Hey, that's opulence, okay? Batu is sweet. Yeah, so I mean, I think this room is pretty good. It's a little bit different from the rest of the house. It also contrasts the formal living area, or I don't even know. This is pretty formal, this room, but the other living area that looks out through the curved windows over the city, that's actually all like black, like styled furniture. So I actually think it turned out pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it, to be honest. Given how much space there is to fill in this house, I'm pretty proud of what I was able to achieve. Also, yeah, look at this table. Look how small it is. Like a 3-tile table is just like tiny. I'm like, I can't use this. It's too small. So we did a couple of tables together instead. So we have, you know, a 10-seater table. And that looked better. That looked a lot better. The size made more sense. Ideally, it would have been better to have it like the depth of the table like thicker, but I didn't want to put too many tables together because, you know, it starts looking a little bit funky when you have all these different items just like slotted together that don't really fit. So now here is the kitchen area that I'm currently designing. The house had like a kitchen that was sort of cut back into like a little alcove area. So I was trying to do something similar to that. It initially started off quite big, as you can see. And interestingly, this kitchen has like 3, I guess, sections of the counter. So there's the back wall, there's like this big island in the middle, and then there's like a breakfast bar as well, which I really liked, that idea of having the sort of 3-tiered kitchen layout. And especially, you know, in a house this big, it looks really, really quite cool, especially when you have the room for it and it makes sense. Now, there's also a few things I did in this kitchen that I guess if it was a real kitchen, probably you wouldn't do. So you'll probably see, like, I do a couple of ovens that you can see facing outward. That was mostly so you could, as a player, see where the oven is and click on it. Because I could have hidden the oven around the back, but then you'd have to like spin the camera around, try to put all the walls down, try to see what's going on. So I try to keep most of the stuff fairly visible from a playment perspective. Because again, I'm building this house because I want to play in it too. So I was trying to make it, you know, friendly to play in, because I really dislike, and I've mentioned this before, but when you have really tall items, for example, like in this house, there's a lot of tall stuff, a lot of tall walls, and you have to like spin the camera around like this just to see stuff. So I was trying to make playable spaces that worked as well as I could. Now, the fridge and stuff is going to go behind that door on the left, which I change in a little bit. I think it just changes to like a glass door. It's like a little sort of area that has the bins and the fridge in it, which I think will be good. I don't know if it's going to be annoying. But like I said, I want it to be playable. Don't know if it's going to be annoying. It may change when I get around to playing with it, but we'll see. Now, because this kitchen didn't have a central cabinet, as you see, I removed a couple, did a few smaller sizes, and allow me to put the stove right in the middle. I really wish we had like a giant double width stove top. I could have put 2 next to each other, but then again, it just looks like 2 next to each other. It doesn't look like one large one. So, you know, we got that one there. Obviously, the nice big central range hood coming down. And then this is like the little pantry in here. This actually changes because it was too small. It was too small. Also, added in a bathroom and a laundry behind it. Laundry was just an aspect I wanted in this house as a challenge as well to play with. So there is a laundry that I think it goes on the other side of this fridge somewhere in this little section here. Now, I was putting up that platform there behind the fridge because I kind of like when you put the walls down that the wall stays up and you can sort of see what's on the wall or what's hanging out there. So that's why you'll often see either I use half walls like in, I know we didn't see the build of it, but again, I'll show you at the end of this. The wine rack, which is right there, we caught a glimpse of it, that I used a half wall at the back so that when you put the walls down, you still see all the wall decorations and all the like the wine rack and the drinks on the wall. Because otherwise it's kind of sad when you put the walls down and everything disappears, all the hard work. So the only problem, I potentially foresee is Sims putting dirty plates on top of all the half walls, and I'm a little concerned about that. With that wine rack one, I'm pretty sure I put a bunch of stuff there. Like I put an item there so the Sim couldn't use it. So here's hoping we don't end up with a bunch of dirty plates everywhere. But we cannot be sure, so we'll see. Now, like I said, I didn't go overboard with clutter in this house, but you know, there is some stuff here because it is a kitchen, so I figured we needed a few things. And I think in the house I was basing this off, they had like I think maybe like black bowls or something at the top there. I think they had 2 rows of that, but I didn't want to do 2 rows of it, so I left it a little bit different. Yeah, so there's the ovens. You can see, we can see them right there. And I could have put them, like I said, on the other side, but it just meant that you as a player can click on the oven a lot easier and see it a lot easier. And same with the dishwasher. That's at the back. I guess you don't really need to click on it, so that could probably move, but that's just what I decided to do with it. Now, we've got bedrooms here, and I think maybe what's going through my head at that point, when I was just like looking at the rooms, I was like, hang on a second. We don't have any like bathrooms down here. We've got like a lot of bedrooms. How many bedrooms did I do on that? There's 3 on that side. There's a master bedroom, 4. There's at least 5 actual bedrooms and another room that could be a bedroom, but I make into like an office. So, you know, it's a pretty sizable family home. And you can see here, I did the platforms, like I said, with like the steps going down. So that's something that I really like that element. You know, it makes that long hallway a little bit more interesting, that it sort of changes height as you go down. Further down at there. Now, yeah, that area I decided to do the floorboards because I thought this whole central area should be floorboard, but the kitchen has the tiles, and obviously that sort of more entertainment space has the tiles as well. And then I think all the bedrooms end up just having the floorboards, which I think works pretty well. Okay, I think at this point I have not realized how few bathrooms I have, and I don't know what my plan was. I think I was just like, yeah, this will all work. This will look great. But yeah, it needed a little bit of work. So this is the master bedroom. This one's going to be sick. This one looks really, really good at the end. I'm so happy with it. It's got this huge big bedroom, a bed on a platform, walk-in wardrobe, huge luxurious bathroom. It is awesome, but that's going to be in part 2, unfortunately. That furnishing is part 2, but it's going to be cool. But yeah, just, because this whole bedroom is actually lower down, you can see the windows have to be lower on the wall. That's why I was playing around with the windows up top to see if it made sense to do that. But in the end, it just kind of looked neater just having those windows and nothing above them. Now here, I think maybe, have I figured out what I'm doing in the bathrooms yet? I know I keep mentioning it, but I don't think I realized yet. And it's kind of making me a little nervous that I haven't in the past realized yet, because I know it's a problem. Now, around the front of the house, which is this side that I'm working on now, I realized we had this big flat wall here at the front with these bedrooms and all that. And it was like, okay, let's make this a little bit more interesting. Let's turn these into like balconies so that you can have like a private balcony on each of these rooms and come out to this space, which, I mean, it's a very, very subtle change just from a flat wall to just a little bit of depth. But I think it made a huge difference, and I was quite happy with that. I'm using a lot of these wooden beams as well everywhere. Just, I don't know, it makes it look a lot nicer, to be honest, than just a flat wall. Because it adds, when you have like huge, long, flat walls, especially, you know, in The Sims, it just looks kind of, well, it looks flat. So adding those 3-dimensional beams on the wall gives a little bit more depth without having to change the wall itself. Because you don't always want to have a wall that's like all different depths and all that. So using a wall decoration, it doesn't have to be those beams, but even just like a wall decoration, like there's some other paneling things that you could use, or just something on there. Even like vines and stuff, I think make a big difference. It just makes the flat wall look a little bit more interesting. Now that's a better kitchen pantry thing that I have there, because before we had that weird like slither 1 tile wide. Now we have a 2x3 fridge and a couple of those tech bins, which if you put stuff in those electronic bins, you get $10 per sim in the household, which is pretty cool. I just did 2 because it's a mansion, so I was like, let's do it. The laundry, I did that laundry, this wall decoration from Laundry Day stuff. It's maybe a little it doesn't really scream contemporary mansion wall decoration, does it? So I don't know if maybe I should change that. But yeah, we have this little laundry. Nothing special. I did a huge batch of these sort of clothes hampers here. Well, I say huge, there's 4, because only doing 1, if you had this house filled with Sims, it would fill up so dang quickly. So 4 should help a little bit. I also always put them in the laundry because if you have them in each of the bedrooms or the bathrooms, it means your sim has to walk to each of those hampers to pick up all the clothes, then go to the laundry. Whereas if they're already in the laundry, the clothes just teleport there. So that works a lot better. So that's what I did there. I don't know if that's going to annoy the heck out of me, the laundry thing. Probably, but we'll see. We'll see. Now, of course, we had to do the talking toilet. Really fancy toilet. We got to have that. I was originally going to do those talking toilets everywhere in the house, but I kind of decided that would be really annoying because when you click on them, there's like way more options. And, you know, when I want to use the toilet, I just want to click use half the time. So I don't know if I end up with only 2 of these talking toilets in the house or if I just swap it out and only have 1. But we definitely have at least 1 of them, and the rest of them are just like normal toilets. All the bathrooms are pretty much the same in terms of the fixtures and fittings, which I think makes sense because usually, especially with a new build house, you do the same fittings in each of the bathrooms or kitchen or whatever, you know. For the most part, obviously there'd be some difference. Like the master bathroom is actually different. But most of the smaller bathrooms that we have dotted around the place and like the en-suites are the same sink, toilets and all that kind of stuff. Man, I spent a long time choosing a decoration for this bathroom because this is kind of like, this would be like a primary guest bathroom as well. It's like in the main hallway right in the center of the house. So I wanted it to feel a little bit special. So we got that nice flower hanging out there. So yeah, I spent a lot of time choosing that. I didn't realize how long and how much of that I left in, but there it is. And I think all the bathrooms have the toilet rolls, hand towels, just those little details to be, you know, a little bit more, you know, kitted out, even though you don't need any of that stuff, obviously, but you know, it just makes it a little bit more full. And I think I do that soap as well, like the hand soap on the wall everywhere. Now this main sitting area, I think this is potentially the last bit we do in this part 1 of this build video. This was a bit of a challenge to figure out how I wanted this to go because I mean, ideally a huge sweeping curved couch would be great, but we don't really have that. So I had to toss that idea pretty quickly because it just wasn't going to work. In the end, we just do a nice sitting area here. I think a big rug. I think we do like an armchair somewhere. Yeah, maybe. It's basically just a sitting area to sit and hang out, and also do like a grand piano as well. This is basically just a space that you would sit and I guess maybe read a book. In real life, obviously in Sims, I don't know that I will because there's no bookcases in this room. It's essentially like a decorative space. But that's also kind of good because it means you could, if you're playing in this lot, easily change it out to whatever you want. You could put functional stuff in here too. I was thinking along like the windows, I think going to do a chess table, but I'd already done a chess table in the other room. So I was like, I don't really want to do that again. So I kept it simple. And because we're in, you know, Beverly Hills or Del Sol Valley in The Sims, I was like, let's get some big movie posters up on the wall. You know, we've got to have those. There's some big vintage movie posters, nicely framed. I kind of wish that I might change how that wall works because I really love those huge posters. I think they look so cool. But when you put the wall down, you don't see it ever. So I might change the back of that wall to be like a platform so the wall doesn't go down. We have a couple of viewing armchairs here as well. Also, you'll note that I completely changed the couch because I did not like those other ones. It's a lot more simple, you know, there's not a huge amount of colors going on anymore. Like I said, this is like the black sitting area with all the couch and the fixtures and not fixtures, but all the window frames and the armchairs. I think it works. I think it really does work because we got a few little accents and elements in through other stuff, and especially the flooring being that wood, and then the sun. The lighting, I gotta say, the lighting in the mansion area in Del Sol Valley that we're building this house in looks so good. Like any time of the day you flick through the lighting, once we're in game in a minute doing a tour, I'll show you the different lighting throughout the day, but it just, any time of day it looks really good in this house and on this lot in particular. So I think that itself adds a lot of color and variety to this room and the house in general. The lighting coming in is so good. Here, I was just trying to choose a big I wanted a big plant, like a big plant. So I was like going through everything. I was like, okay, where is this? Oh, here we go. I was like, yeah, this is the one. And I wanted it like in its own planter as well. So I built like this little, I guess, custom planter thing, which is just a half wall around it. Again, little concerned about Sims putting that dirty plate on it. So that might not be ideal. I really hate how half walls let Sims put dirty plates on them. Like, why is that a thing? I kind of wish I just updated it so like plates couldn't be on there. I like putting decorations on half walls sometimes, and it's great for that, but just Sim, dirty plate. And especially this one's right near the kitchen. I bet you it was going to happen. But again, once we play it, we'll probably find all that stuff out, which will be just awesome. Just great. Now, I was trying to get a little bit more lighting here because you can see it's like a little shadowy on this plant. So I was trying to figure out what kind of light's going to work here, like wall lights. Got these LED strip lights from high school years. I thought that worked quite well on the flooring. And then I was just trying to find like some sort of spotlight or wall light to light up the plant itself. And I think in the end, I don't know what I did. Maybe a nice big Batu light. Yeah. All right, that's it for this time lapse of part 1. Let's jump into the game and check out what we've done so far. All right, so as a reminder, this house is already completed. So there's going to be probably some minor spoilers in this tour video, but I'll try my best to get creative camera angles. But make sure to check back for part 2 where we'll get a full good look at everything. But here is the garage. It's nothing super special because it's just a big empty room with cars in it. But I mean, I think it looks pretty sick. Like I said, that's the robotics area, which I actually do in part 2, but that's not much of a spoiler, so it's all right. Here's all the cars hanging out here. Just a nice garage. That's our hallway back through there. You can see the plant I ended up choosing is the same one we did upstairs. Those are the stairs there. So let's jump through here. So this is our main entrance hallway. I think I probably want to get some art up on this wall or something because maybe it's a little bland, but we'll come back to that. So in here is our little home gym area that we did. Nothing too crazy, a couple of workout equipment, a couple of massage tables just there. Unfortunately, I can't show you like the front of the house or the back because there's a lot there that I haven't done yet, but I can show you our little wine rack. Oh, you know what? That's a problem I just discovered. It was the wall behind is a little glitchy. That's okay. But this, I think the idea of this is so cool. I think it looks really awesome. Got all the bottles through there. You'd imagine those are big doors you'd open up and grab whatever you want. So the stairs are just here. I'm not sure if that platform color reset or if it's just the lighting. It should be white. But yeah, this is the main living area up here. That's where I put the chess table. You come up these stairs from downstairs just there. That's where that plant is. And you can see the garage just through there. Hang on. There it is. There's the garage. I reckon that looks so cool. You come up here, you see all the wine bottles and the drinks and all that. Through here to the main living area. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look incredible? I mean, if we go through the lighting as well, look, that's like dusk, nighttime, sunrise, midday, the lighting looks so good. So you can see a few spoilers out in the balcony there, It's just a couple of lounge chairs, nothing too crazy. Yeah, this is the sitting area, the final sitting area look, which I think is simple enough, but I think it takes up enough of the space that it really quite works. And I love that huge overarching lamp there from, I think it was Deco to the Max kit or something. Those are our big posters. Around that, there's our big plant. And here's our kitchen, which I think looks so cool. I think that little space looks great. Again, a few spoilers out on the balcony. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's the kitchen there. I think it's really awesome. I'm so excited to play in this house. And through here's our little kitchen, well, not kitchen area, the fridge and bin area. And then this is our bathroom that we built just before. That took me ages to choose that plant for some reason. And, and here's our little laundry area, which moved over to the other side. I mean, nothing super special in there. Here's our big hallway leading down to all the bedrooms, which we will look behind the doors in part 2. But here is our entertainment space with our bar at the back there, which I think looks sick. Got a nice, huge dining table just there. And we got the living area and TV. So this is like the main TV room in the house. Hey, where did all my stuff go? Dang it. All right, well, I gotta fix that. Look, this is why it's good probably to do this in 2 parts, because I've realized that is the problem building huge houses. Things happen and stuff disappears. All right, well, I'll fix that. That's okay. Yeah, so that's the bar area. And then in here is another bathroom, which did we build that this episode? I don't know. Let's just leave that. But that's pretty much the stuff that we did in this part. Let's have a little fly through. So this is our entertainment area. We come out the hall here and through to the main living area. I love that piano there too, and that kitchen. I love this space so much. I think this is epic. And then from here, we can go back through here to the main entrance area, down the stairs, round the corner, into the garage, and then we hop in our sweet sports car and head out the front, which we'll have a look at in part 2. Unfortunately, that's all I can show you today, but make sure, like I said, to tune in for the next part. That'll either be tomorrow or hopefully the day after that. Like you saw, there's a couple little things I gotta fix because when you're building, I guess, with move objects and then you turn it off, change something, stuff disappears. So I'll do a final sweep through the house, make sure everything's where it should be. And then I'll get part 2 recorded. Like I said, it's all built already, so we don't need to worry about me never finishing it. You know, we've had a few of those. Hotel, Colin Bigwell's house. But this is already done, so that's all good. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. This house will be available for download once part 2 is posted, and the link will be in the description too of this video once part 2 is up. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and have an awesome day.